Hello, sim rig and desk mounted steering wheel people. Welcome back to the Game and Muscle YouTube channel. In this video, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about the handling differences between Formula 1 2018 and that of the PC driving simulators like Assetto Corsa and iRacing. Now, I'm not really going to be concerning myself with what's realistic or not because I don't really know particularly, as I've never driven one of these vehicles. I mean, we could kind of vaguely guess what would be realistic from what real-world drivers have said and watching videos, but, you know, I don't know in absolute terms. But what I'm going to be focusing on are the actual tangible differences in the handling and the actual experiential differences of the handling from my lowly gamer perspective. Now, before Formula 1 fans start lynching me, tying me to a stake and drowning me in the River Thames, I understand F1 2018, primarily it's a console game, and primarily it's about the sort of role-playing experience of being in a Formula 1 race, driving against the real-world driver names on the tracks with that overall structure. I get it, that's why you're playing it, I understand that, that's fine, and I think it does a reasonable job of doing that. It's also worth pointing out that for the first time, Codemasters seem to have eliminated the weird steering input latency, so you can actually play this properly, which you couldn't really with the previous Formula 1 games, if you're anally retentive such as myself. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's talk about the fundamental handling characteristics of Formula 1 2018. Now, first things first, I think they've done a reasonable job of capturing upside down aeroplanes with tyres bolted to them handling. The cars in F1 2018 move around, respond, act, and generally look and behave as you would imagine a Formula 1 car to behave, which is a fantastic achievement given how hard these types of vehicles are to simulate. Basically, go-karts and Formula 1 cars just break physics engines due to how tight they are on the suspension, how nimble they can move around, and just how responsive they are. They highlight any mild issue or what the core underlying physics engine is in a game, more so than any other vehicle. Now, one of the big things you notice going between the F1 game and the other simulators is that the F1 game just doesn't have that degree of fidelity in terms of the absolute level of details in the car handling. Specifically, when you jump into a Formula car in Assetto Corsa and iRacing or R-Factor 2, you just really notice how much more precision you have on the accelerator and the brake, and how you can use subtle brake and accelerator modulation to gently nose the car in and out of corners and pivot the car. It's as if you've got 10 times more range of control of the vehicle, especially through a perfect example would be like the S-curves on Suzuka. When you're driving that in the F1 2018 game, it's kind of dampened, kind of sluggish. You can modulate the accelerator, you can modulate the brake, and the car will do kind of what you'd expect a Formula 1 car to do, but it's just mushy, sluggish, and nowhere near as sharp as what you find in those other games. Obviously, you can tweak the setups in both 2118 and any of the other simulators to get different general results and maybe get a bit more response in some places, or a bit tighter handling, a bit looser handling. There's a little bit that you can play with, but at the end of the day, the general handling in F1 2018 in comparison to the other sims is almost as if you're driving inebriated and everything's just a little bit duller. The edge has been taken off. F1 2018 is like being hit in the head with a football, whereas the other simulators are like repeatedly stabbing yourself in the eye socket with a fork. Outside of that general sharpness, one thing that really noticeable in the F1 game is the low speed turning angles and the reluctancy for the cars to seem to want to turn after a certain amount of steering input. Obviously, all cars have a limit to how much they can turn, and a large part of that is down to setup, but it's just the speed at which you're going at and how much that speed designates how much you can turn seems to be rather aggressive, in that you really do have to be absolutely trundling in the Formula 1 game to get around some of the corners compared to what you'd expect in some of the other games. That said, it seems as if the Formula 1 game kind of encourages you to chuck it in and lean on some aspects of the springy tyre nature of the simulator to get it around some of those corners, again in a rather potentially unnatural way, whereas I think a bit more finesse and delicacy would probably be expected in a real car and is generally the approach you have to take with Formula cars in the other simulators. Another aspect of F1 2018 that seems very different from the other simulators is the downforce and the aerodynamics, specifically when you've got corners like Eau Rouge or the first corners at Interlagos. The downforce just seems a bit inconsistent, with it lacking that granularity and the ability to play with the tyre grip whilst also under moderate levels of downforce through corners that I think you get in the other simulators. I think something that really masks the handling in the Formula 1 game is the force feedback and the lack of subtle front-end feel and subtle tyre grip feel. Now, the Formula 1 game does a really good job of catching the rear of the car with the force feedback and the force feedback loading up and track details and stuff. But if you're in those situations where you're really trying to balance the car and it's kind of murky if you're going fast enough to just lean on the downforce, it doesn't give the information of force feedback for you to know from feel alone. I think if you practice the Formula 1 game and you've got to set up and you put in the time and you do lots of laps, you will know through memorization of what is and isn't possible with a given car. But it's a shame that you can't just do it from raw feel alone, and that's one of the reasons why I personally have a bit of a hotspot admiration for Assetto Corsa, that even of all the simulators seems to nail that specific aspect of front end force feedback tyre grip feel. Ultimately, when it comes to the raw handling experience, F1 2018 just doesn't offer those arousal levels that you get from the other simulators. Which is a shame, because if you have those arousal levels combined with a fully fledged every driver, every car, all the racetracks, fancy shiny graphics, and fancy sparklers in your face, drive the 80s cars at dusk in F1 2018 and get sparkled in your face, looks amazing, an absolutely fantastic particle effect. But it's a shame because it would just be really nice to have the absolute full package. I can't be too critical of Codemasters, as I say. Well, I can be critical of Codemasters. What did you do with Dirt 4? Dirt Rally 2? Come on boys. But I'll be critical of Codemasters, but we'll be nice. F1 2018 is the best mass market Formula 1 game that's ever been made, so let's give them credit there. And as I say, it does mirror reasonably well the real world nature of Formula 1 car driving. It's got loads of features in there, and I think even sim snob weirdo people can still enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed this rather hodgepodge comparison of the handling in Formula 1 2018 compared to the PC simulators. This is more just about being entertaining and me wanting to get some aspects of the handling differences off my head. These are the kind of things that keep me up at night, guys. What a weird life. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. Don't forget to like and all that business. We do live streams all the time. I will be playing some more F1 2018. I'm trying to get to grips with it. I will be playing more Formula Hybrid RSS mod racing. My God, that is a good car to drive. And we're going to be doing more iRacing and what have you. We've been Star Mazda to death. I don't know what's going on there. Smash yourselves out a cup of tea. Tea bags in the cup. Boil the water. Happy times. I'm literally going to go biscuit shopping right now. I've not decided. Probably shortbread. I should make it myself. But I'm going to go shortbread biscuit shopping. And, well, there you go, guys. Take care. Happy sim racing. Goodbye.